Jeffrey Dahmer soaked in blood. The Unabomber blowing up. Waco, Texas, and Heaven's Gates. Aliens modified, meant for apes. JFK shot in the head by the CIA. Bigfoot and the Mothman. Son of Sam talking to dogs again. Witches, ghosts, and goblins. Mysterious noise and hauntings. Dark arts in the skull and bones. Most celebrities are probably cloned. So if you're feeling all alone, crack a beer and get stoned. I welcome you to the podcast Strange Brew. We're here to entertain you. We're here to entertain you.
It's about to get strange.
It most definitely is about to get strange. Welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, the Raptilian. You can find out my music on all music platforms. We got an exciting show for everybody. I'm very excited to have a familiar voice. Introduce yourself.
Oh God. Hi, I'm Marie, and I've been here once before and we talked about crystal balls. And
Yes.
do you want me to say where I'm from and stuff again?
Sure.
Why
Why not?
Shebang?
Why not?
Okay. I am part of the Not a Strong Start podcast on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I have my own show on the channel called Replays It All, where I talk about movies and video games and horror stuff and pop culture stuff, nerdy stuff, geeky stuff. And yeah, that's me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, make sure to support the show and everybody. Obviously, if you're listening, support us on Patreon. That would be the best way to support us. We would much appreciate it. It is pretty cheap, obviously, and you can buy merch on the site. Everything is in the link tree, always in the bottom of the page. So do what you can to support us. Give us 5-star rate and reviews. Give us 5-star, especially on Spotify, where we had another episode labeled as dangerous content and would not be pushed out to the feed. You can still find it on Spotify, but they really don't want you to talk about the detrimental effects of immigration. So I'll just say that because it's literally maybe it's what I named the episode, but could have been that. It's so crazy. We talked about so many crazy things on the show, but we've only had the episode flagged once before. Spotify is getting really sad. But yeah, so definitely support us on Spotify, 5-star rating, reviews, all that stuff. But the only time this ever got flagged before and labeled as dangerous content was the last time when me and Aaron did the Great Replacement Theory, and that got labeled as dangerous information. Which is so obviously if it's labeled like that, it's because they don't want you to talk about that stuff. But we talked about the protocols, that's fine. Like everything else. It's just crazy.
I can't believe that's the only time you got flagged on YouTube.
We got flagged on YouTube before recently.
Oh, okay.
But Spotify.
Oh, okay. Because Not a Strong Start, we get flagged for the stupidest. Like, if we say kill like once in our episodes, we'll get flagged. If we say we get flagged for the most ridiculous things, and sometimes it's like, oh, you got flagged for bodily harm, and we're like, we didn't mention any. One time I talked about a song. I said that song is so American, and we got flagged for election propaganda. All I said was
on
the word
YouTube.
Yep, all I said was the word American. That's all I said.
That is so crazy. Censorship is real, everybody. That's why I gotta support the shows. That's crazy. We've said the most absurd stuff you could imagine on my show, and we don't get flagged, but I feel like we get suppressed in the algorithm for sure. Like, I do think especially my show and the stuff we cover, if we were doing this, like we started in 2018 and we didn't even start putting stuff up till I don't know, like 2021, at least video content. And I just feel like if we were around, 2015, 16, when it was a little more free and there wasn't so much censorship, we probably would have got like thousands upon thousands of people subscribing to the YouTube. But because the stuff we talk about, it gets suppressed like crazy. But that's just part of the game, right? This show has always been, I've always wanted it to kind of take people away from all the bad stuff in the world. But then recently things have shifted, and I think I have the platform to talk about some of these more controversial topics that I think are very important to talk about, to try to wake people up, that I choose to use it that way before we used to never talk about some of that stuff, but I've shifted gears, and I think that it's worth talking about some of this stuff.
Oh, of course, I agree.
It's crazy. It's very cold out. I see you got a blanket. Are you freezing?
Well, I'm in my basement, and I got these basement windows that aren't very thick, and we just put insulation in now, but there's still like ice because like I was saying to you earlier, it's been like minus 49 Celsius here.
That's crazy.
Crazy with like the wind chill, and there's like ice all around it. So yeah, I always have my creep show blankie. I got slippers on and everything. Like it's cold down here in this basement. There's no heat vent in here, I don't think either. So yeah.
That's it. It's been like minus 30, I think, like with the wind chill, like in Ontario. So like, well, Southern Ontario. It's crazy. Yeah, basements are cold as fuck. It's I'm not a fan of winter. It's been literally freezing at work, even because our heaters don't work that well, and it's been like, oh my god, I'm not a fan. You know, I gotta
me neither. Hot. Yeah.
Minus 42 in Northern Ontario. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Crazy how cold you guys get. Jesus.
Well, that's why we call us winter peg, man. That's no lies, no joke. But you know what? It was like +3 last week, and everything was melting, and now it's like minus 49. I'm like, give us something in between.
That's our bipolar weather that we have in Canada.
Yeah. Yep. Are you drinking wine?
No, I wish. I'm trying to do sober for a bit. It's tough though. But it's cranberry juice, like pure cranberry juice. It's very tart.
Yeah, I was gonna say very, very tart. Yeah, I try to do the whole sober thing. I say that like once a week, and then I'm like, oh, Friday.
I know. That's how
it's hard.
And the wife's pregnant, and she's like, I haven't drank at all, but you were going to slow down, but it doesn't seem like you are. She went away last weekend, and I just proceeded to get hammered. So away she goes. Well, when you're bored and alone, it's like, might as well.
Yeah, do it now while you can without a newborn around. You know?
Yeah, it's true. That's going to change everything. So we're going to be talking about dreams. Sleep is something that everybody does need. In fact, most people tend to enjoy it, obviously, right? You get escape from this kind of reality, and getting enough of it helps us keep us healthy and mentally balanced. But what happens when something we need in order to survive becomes a source of terror in our lives? And what happens when we dream? We're going to be talking about dreams, everybody, on this episode. It's going to be especially creepy facts about dreams and stuff like that. So it's going to be a fun time. Yes, hide under the blankets. So to get this started, I have a lot of weird dreams, right? It's crazy. I had some very vivid dreams. If everyone wants to have more vivid dreams, take valerian tea, because valerian tea amplifies your dreams like crazy.
All right, I don't need that. I need a dream suppressant because my dreams are always intense. I can feel things in my dreams, like actual feeling. Every sense is there. They're very high. So I need a suppressant because sometimes mine are so real and so insane. You picked the right girl for this one.
Yes. Well, my one buddy, that used to be on the show. I guess he's not my buddy anymore because we don't talk. But that's what happens when people fucking go too far left. But he's like, yo, take this tea, this valerian tea. It'll help you sleep. It's natural. It's not like melatonin. You don't get this like burnout or whatever. And then so I got some valerian tea. And then I take it. It makes you sleepy. It makes you sleep good. But like it does amplify the vividness and the visuals of your dreams. So I've always had like crazy dreams. And dreams is such a weird thing to me because what is it really? I've always thought this idea. Was my theory for a long time. I think I just made this up in my own head. I don't think I got it from anywhere else. But this idea that so your body doesn't naturally. Once your body's asleep, your soul doesn't need to be there anymore. So there's theories that I've heard about other stuff, but I thought like, what if your soul like just kind of leaves because you're in this state of slumber and your body is kind of resting. And I've heard other things about like near-death experiences and astral projection of like your body like may leave. your soul may leave your body while you're dreaming and then just project certain images in your head in the meantime. Because there's people that theorize that your soul kind of goes off and does things in other realities without you even knowing.
Okay, well, that's the case. And when my body's resting, my soul is definitely restless and also kind of rude sometimes. It's like, hey, you want to think about the worst thing ever that you could possibly think about? I always say, like, my brain attacks me when I sleep because it's like, you think you're going to rest right now? Mm-mm. Yeah, I wake up and I'm exhausted from my dreams. I'm like, why? I need a break.
Yeah, I know it's weird. There's I remember hearing someone, like, it was like Coast to Coast on this conspiracy type shows, and they were talking about the reason why you wake up like tired even though you think that you've had a great sleep is because your soul has been partying essentially and going to all different realities. Who knows if that's true or if these are just like projections of your mind from your subconscious and stuff like that. But it is true. When I'm trying to sleep, I have like some of the most horrible thoughts sometimes about like what's going on in the world, the things I research for the show, all sorts of stuff. And it's like it's hard for me to turn my brain off also because I feel like I do have a high functioning brain and how it works and how I think and how I analyze everything that I just can't get it to shut the fuck up.
Same. I know there's like my husband can fall asleep like instantly. And I'm like, how do you do that? And he's like, just turn your brain off. I'm like, what does that mean?
How do you do
turn
that?
Your brain off? I can't. In order for me to fall asleep, I basically have to put myself in like a hypnosis where I'm thinking about something as like a movie. And I'm like, okay. And then it will get me like kind of almost hypnotized to fall asleep. I can't shut it off. What does that mean?
I know. I don't know what that, because even when we were young kids and my parents let me and my brother have a room for the first time. We just stay up talking, so eventually they separate us. But I would watch him like go to sleep like that. And I would be like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, I just can't like shut off my brain. And I even done things where I would like count sheep and stuff. But I think what I messed up my brain, because when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. Probably too young. Where I shouldn't have been doing it. And then so I would have like, I would say like nightmares, night terrors. And so to try to defeat them, I would think about like a movie I just watched or a show, and I would try to replay it in my mind. And then like I'm making it more vivid and actually in my brain while I'm sleeping, making the dreams more vivid maybe.
Oh yeah. I can relate to that 100%.
It's so crazy. So let's get into some like, because who knows what dreams really are? I can't explain it. They still can't explain it. They're starting to try to figure out if they can map out the dream world. I think they are trying to attempt to do that, where there's theories that with the technology we have, especially with things like virtual reality, that they're going to somehow tap into like the brain's cortex or something, or the frontal lobes or whatever you're like. I guess it would be the pineal gland, where your dreams do secrete like some sort of DMT through it, and it allows you to have dreams in the way that we do. That's where that comes from, is your pineal gland. That's why if you look around like Vatican, there's a giant pine cone. If you look around, there's ancient cultures that worship pine cones. People think that's because it was talking about the pineal gland, that now they calcify with like fluoride and stuff like that, because that's our doorway to escape this reality and maybe even to tap into things like psychic abilities. Weird, eh?
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So they calcify it through for poisonous food, water, all that stuff. So I don't really necessarily know what they are, but it would be interesting because they're saying that they might be able to tap into something within your brain and then cast your dreams on like a TV. Yeah. They're looking into stuff like that.
I'll charge millions to be like, you want to come see some fucked up shit? Check this out. Everyone be like, Marie, I'm scared of you, Marie. I didn't know you had that in you. And I'm like, well, this is all a facade. Yep, that's it. That's my dream. That's my sleep paralysis. Actually, I've never had sleep paralysis, but that's what it would look like. Probably.
Sleep paralysis is fucking scary. It's probably one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. And I've experienced some scary things in life. I'm not going to go through my story because I've always said it, but I had a crazy shadow people experience. And it was wild, and I never had sleep paralysis, and it felt like Like I couldn't move my body. I just could move my eyes. I saw all these shadow people around me. It like was the most frightening experience I've ever had to be awake, but your body is like in some sort of comatose state. And it's like something is holding you down. It's pretty scary.
Okay. Actually, when you're saying that, I have had it once, but at the time I didn't think it was sleep paralysis because I was like really like a hardcore like Christian Jesus freak girl for a little bit when I was in my early teens. And I really thought the demon was talking to me. So I thought it was real. So as I'm older, I'm like, okay, that was sleep
paralysis. Was real.
Hopefully, you know what, dude?
Sleep paralysis is a thing where it's like the darker realms are accessing you somehow. I think that there's a reason why people have sleep paralysis. I believe that there's very dark entities and stuff like that exist around us all the time, and we can let them in by accident, or what the elites do is probably the parasites do it on purpose, right? So they can gain some sort of access to that realm, right? But I've had some crazy dreams. I've heard about some crazy dreams too. There was back in the day, this one always stuck with me. This girl was that I was dating, but I was cheating on her and stuff like that, and like she was aware that I was bouncing around or whatever, right? And didn't know kind of what I wanted. And then so she had a dream that this guy was chasing her and stuff like that. And then the guy comes up and then stabs her. And then the hood lifted up and it was me. And I was like, whoa, that's scary. And I was thinking about ending it, right? So it's like her subconscious was tapping into that side of the reality. But I've had crazy dreams, stuff that I can't describe in a good in a very descriptive way, but I've had pretty crazy ones. I've had some where there was one that was weird where it was I was in a house, and then every level of the house was a different part of my life from when I was younger to when I got older. Very strange. And then I'll let you carry on before I get into some of my weirder ones. What? Tell me about some weird dreams that you can think
of. Well, I've had hundreds of dreams where I am killing people, and they're always bad people though. They're always people trying to break into my house. They're always trying to hurt. Yeah, they're always people trying to get to my loved ones. Can I go into detail about one of them or no?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. It's all to what you want to expose.
Okay, one that was really vivid to me that is one of my most craziest dreams ever. I can feel things. So when I am killing people, I feel the feeling of the knife. It's usually with a knife going into flesh. I've had this fork into the eye of some guy. It was anyway. But this one I had is there's one where there's this man trying to R-word my friend, and he was on her from behind. I was behind, and he was trying to get at her. And there was a hammer. So I went on his back and I took the claw of the hammer and I started hacking at the back of his neck, and I'm hacking it to the point where I could see his spine inside and the vertebrae. And I'm hacking and I'm like, dude's not dying. I started to feel bad because I'm like, okay, at this point, please die. And then I kept hacking, and he turned around and he said, just reach inside and snap it.
That's scary.
And then I remember putting my hands in this open wound, feeling the vertebrae spiking me in my hands. And I don't have super strength, I guess, but I snapped his neck like that.
That sounds like some sort of demon tapped into your dream or something like that. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, that's me. And the other one that I had that I wish I wrote down because it was a movie. I wake up probably 6-7 times a night. I never sleep through the night, ever. And I have probably at least 3 dreams a night. And I never sleep through, but this one night, I guess I slept through the whole thing, and I had a dream that was the whole night, like a movie. And I can't really remember I remember some details. I can't go into it. It'd be too long, but I was taking care of my sister who was possessed, and we had this big studio apartment in Paris, and she was chained to the bed because she was possessed.
So crazy.
And And I had to go and get her medication. And because I was looking after her, and I remember the whole walk and bus ride to get her medication, I was seeing demons everywhere. And then I went to a priest. I'm like, I think she's possessed. They think she's sick, but I think she's possessed.
I need an old priest and a young priest.
Yes. And then he turned demonic, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, no one's helping me. I don't know if I need medication. I remember going back into this creepy apartment where I lived, and I hear her screaming upstairs, and I'm like, okay, she needs help. And I went upstairs, and I like went to like put like the medication away or whatever. And when I closed the mirror, I was the sister. And when I looked at the bed, it was me. And the whole thing,
weird.
The whole thing was actually, I was the girl in the bed, and I had multiple personalities, and I lived that whole thing.
Wow. Your brain
was me.
It's pretty interesting then. You got some complex stuff up there.
I got some stuff going on. So yeah. And then,
wild.
Yeah. And then I have a couple of the recurring things I have, obviously with the teeth falling out. And I think it's because I grind my teeth in my sleep and I feel them loose and coming out. But the grossest recurring thing I have is where I'm vomiting, but the vomit is this thick, gritty sludge and I can't get it out. I have to claw it out of my mouth. And it's this thick, gross, sludgy puke. And I have that dream probably like once a month. At least
we should do a part 2 of this episode at some point and do like the meanings behind dreams, because we're going to get into creepy facts about dreams, but the meanings would be interesting. Cause like I've had the teeth falling out dream and it's like frightening, where I thought that I thought I was going to wake up and I wouldn't have teeth, like, and you feel it and it feels so real in your dreams where you're like, I remember like pulling it out and then I felt more and they started like, all of them just started coming out. It's so scary. And I like, dreams have always been this weird thing to me because they've always been so vivid. And I remember like, I remember like talking about this in the show, and Billy doesn't dream. I don't know if it's because he like just drinks a lot and like, or he used to. I think he still does. It would have been because I'm like, I remember at the time when this is a long time ago, I did dreams episode with this guy Trevor I used to work with. I think he may be dead now. I have no idea. He was he did some crazy stuff, and he'd make jokes about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna rob the casino, and then I'm gonna go on to the Grand River, and I'm gonna ride a ski-doo off, and he's like planning out this whole, and like we're like, where are you gonna get all these things that you need to like do this? But he got into a bad place, I think, with some bad people. But we did an episode about dreams. I remember telling Billy, I got like a little thing about dreams that we could get into, and Billy's like, I can't help you, I don't dream. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't dream? He's like, I really just don't really dream. I'm like, how? And then one of his first fun facts ever, that because he always does on the show, was he sleeps with his eyes open, but it's like this, where it can just see his eyeball like flickering. And I thought he was kidding, but I saw it where it's like his eyes were pretty much half open but flickering, and it's the scariest thing, man. And I talked to him the next day. I was like, yeah, you weren't joking. I thought you were awake, like looking at me.
That's crazy. But like usually, I guess I thought they said like when your eyes go back and forth, it's like when you're in the REM sleep and you are dreaming. It's almost like you're scanning your dream.
Think he drank too much.
Oh,
I think he just drinks too much beer and then it just doesn't remember them. Maybe
that's what I think. Maybe he does dream but doesn't remember them, because I have friends too where they're like, I don't remember what I dream about like ever. It's rare that I remember. I'm like, God damn, I wake up and I'm like, I had like 8 movies going on at once.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
TV sets. Like, what?
Have you ever done where you like go to take a pee and then you like go back into the same dream? Because I've had that a bunch of times where I'm able to like re-tap into the same dream. It's crazy. Yeah, keep going.
Are you able to wake yourself up from a dream because you know you're dreaming?
No, I wish.
Oh, I could. I learned that as a child. I learned how to
astral
do it
projection, or just like wake your body up.
Wake my body up. Where it's like, this is a dream, Marie, and there's something I had to do. And people say you never die in your dreams, and I've died. I got shot in the face once by like a Chinese army guy in my dream one time.
So weird, really.
And it was the Portuguese people against the Chinese.
Well, you have some crazy dreams.
Yeah, and then I remember I was hiding in a car and they shot, and I'm like, you don't die in dream. I remember in my dream thinking, I can't die. You don't die in dreams. And the guy shot me right in the face. I remember like covering my face and blood everywhere, and I died, I guess.
Whoa, that's so weird. Yeah, you have some pretty intense trees. Yeah, it's perfect person to bring on the show for this. And there's so many complex things about like what they are. Why do we have them? Mine are always very vivid. A lot of them are pretty sexual and stuff like that too. It is what it is, but it's some of them are like crazy like that, and I'm like, I don't know if it's just. I don't know what it is, but some of them are pretty wild. I don't need to go into detail about those ones, but it is so strange. And then I've had dreams where like I'll never forget this one, where I was like in an apartment building, almost like a condo, but it was like I could see out the window and we're pretty high up, and you could see like a beach, right? And then there was kind of like all these condo buildings around the beach, and it was just kind of like a half circle beach. You could see down the beach and stuff like that. And then the waves are starting to kind of go a little crazy, and then I see UFOs coming towards me, and then I'm like calling my family and stuff like that, being like, "Yo, it's happening," kind of shit. And then I remember. This is what I remember, but I used to know it in way more detail where I was like panicking, and then I went into an elevator thing, and then the elevator went down and shot me into this tube, and I was like in this tube, and then it shot me across the water into this other building that I came up, and then I just had what's his name? The guy that is about Occupy the Getty and stuff like that, and he was telling me that this guy worked for essentially like a faction of like the CIA building lasers and stuff like that. Wild tales if they are true. And he said that he was talking about this type of technology of this tube thing and I was like, I had a dream about that. Like the same kind of thing that he was talking about of like these tube things, and then they can shoot you certain distances and you can travel very far in them and stuff like that. And it was such a weird dream because I remember it felt so real, like there was a UFO invasion and I was on either vacation or that's where I lived at the time. And then I'm wondering if there's any truth to that. You could be tapping also into past life memories or future memories, which would be even crazier.
Yeah, you tapped into something there because it was true what you somehow knew.
Yeah, and he claimed this stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of weird."
What?
And I've had dreams of being like chased by people and stuff like that, and it is crazy because they're so vivid, and that I wake up. There's been a lot of times where I wake up like scared, like I'm frightened. Or anxious, and it's crazy that that it can invoke these things out of you. Where there's dreams I've had where I've woken up like depressed, where I feel like very low and depressed and sad, and it's such a strange thing, man.
I woke up crying from my dream. Like I woke up and I've been bawling my eyes out crying because of what happened in my dream translated to life. Like I physically was feeling it in real life while in my dream. Like I was physically crying. This has happened like at least 10 times in my life where I've woken up with like actual tears and I carry it into
Did you ever learn how to astral project? If you can tell your body to wake up, you should try to wake up with inside your dream. Because supposedly if you tell yourself that you're in a dream and you can realize that you're in a dream, you can control your dream and have like a lucid dream.
I'm trying to think. I've had dreams where it feels like it's happening in real life, and then I'll wake up and go to sleep, and it's like happening. Like I can't tell what's real or what's not. I've also had dreams where I've been above a dream and seeing myself sleeping and seeing what's going on.
That's astral projection. You should have tried to walk around.
No, I'm glad because that was a horrific dream. And there was a demon chasing me. Like it was like Reagan from The Exorcist. Okay. I had a couple Reagan dreams because The Exorcist scarred me. But I had it was like a demon girl like Reagan. I was sleeping in my in-laws' house, and my husband, they're like, "Oh, sleep in our room." You know, they were out of town. So my husband and I go up to the room, and they moved their room around, and I was like, I don't like the room like this. Something just felt off, and I'm like, their room should not be set up like this. It's uncomfortable. And that night I had a dream where I was up above watching me and my husband sleep, and there's this little demon girl running around back and forth, laughing at us through encircling the bed.
You
and I
could
woke
have
up and I'm like,
what if you saw something real though? What if you were astral projecting and there was something actually there?
I told my mother-in-law, and she changed her room around because I was like, you can't have your room like that. There's something wrong.
I think things can tap into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I've told, like Brett told the story on the show or whatever. And, but my buddy's been on the show a couple times, and he dated a witch, a Wiccan. Her mom was like a full-blown Wiccan witch, and then Wiccan Witch of the West. But but then he said that they taught him how to like astral project, and the one time he did it, he like saw his body staying like there, and she's like, if you do this, try to walk around and all that stuff. And so he did, and he heard the doorbell start. We said he heard knocking. He heard this loud banging, and then so he was going to go to the door and then try to like open it or whatever, follow the sound. But then he woke up. And so once he woke up, he heard his dad yelling, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? So he goes out, and then he said that someone was ringing the doorbell really fast. And then when he went to open the door, nobody was there. Isn't that wild?
So wait, he was ringing the doorbell in his dream?
No, something else was. So something was physically doing it in the real reality, and then in his dream it was like a knocking sound. But then when he woke up, his dad said that there was a bunch of like ringing on the doorbell, and then we opened the door, it stopped, and nobody was there. And then so he talked to his girlfriend's mom, who was like the witch, and she told him that she's like, you didn't open the door, did you? And he's like, no. And she's like, if you did, you would have let something in that could have even went into your body. That's not that horrifying. I know. I should have done. Where's that? So crazy, eh?
That's scary.
So let's get into the first one. I'll sleep paralysis, since we're talking about it anyway. Sleep paralysis can be very distressing experience for those who suffer it. During sleep paralysis, sufferers become aware that they experience atonia, muscle paralysis, never heard of that, yet are unable to do anything. Typically, I will call it sleep paralysis, ends when you wake up and never even realize you went through this temporary paralysis. For individuals who suffer, where am I? Then everyone sleep. For individuals who suffer sleep paralysis, however, something goes wrong during the process, and they're launched into a state of mixed consciousness. These individuals become aware that they're paralyzed. It is quite frightening, and can also experience vivid hallucinations due to the fact that REM sleep cycles don't stop when they wake. Sleep paralysis hallucinations fall into three categories, all of which are very distressing to the sufferer. Intruder hallucinations, in which sufferers perceive a dangerous presence in the room. Chest pressure, aka a incubus hallucinations, in which the sufferer feels a sensation of suffocation and someone sitting on their chest. And there's stories in the east of Canada, I think in like PEI and stuff like that, they call her the night hag, and it's this old woman that sits on your chest. And then Jesus, can't fucking speak
vestibular,
right now. Why did I say
vestibular? Vestibular.
Vestibular motor hallucinations, in which sufferers feel out body sensations such as flying. So, and it's like they're explaining it away by saying it's REM sleep, but there is a lot of truth that goes into the idea of astral projection and being able to leave your body and then do things like, where there's a story that I remember hearing about where this kid was he talks to this kid in another country or whatever. They're friends online, they play video games together or whatever. And they were talking, and then he fell asleep, and he was thinking about his friend, and somehow he was trying to sleep. He was trying to do astral projection, and while he was doing it, he's thinking about his friend, and he claimed that he was shot over to his friend. I think it was like in Germany or something like that. Well, he was in America, and he saw what his friend was doing on the computer. He was jacking off. No, he wasn't. He was doing something, like he was playing this certain video game or whatever, right? And then and he could see what he was doing, and then he kind of woke himself up, and he's like ran to his computer, and he's like, "Hey, like, were you doing this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing that. How do you know that I'm doing that?" And he's like, it worked. Astral projection worked. It's a wild story if it's true, but that would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I wanna believe it's true. I wanna believe it's all possible, because
Tell you, dude, I tried many times to do it. It's tough because you have to get in a very like meditative state. And even when I was going through my whole yeah, my whole shadow people experience and stuff like that, it was very real. I believe it was real. I felt these things and I was wide awake. Like, and that's what it wasn't in some REM sleep. I felt that I had sleep paralysis. I could open my eyes wide. I could see these things. At certain points, I got up. At one point, I got up and walked towards my door, and there was an 8-foot tall shadow person looking down at me. And I went to the washroom, turned on the light, looked in the mirror, was like, "What the fuck's going on with you?" And it was real. I was awake. I was walking around, and I went to the washroom, and it was like I was totally awake, sober, all that stuff. And it wasn't this thing of like, "Oh, I'm just still in REM sleep." No, I was like full blown awake, and I saw these things. They do exist. We only see 10% of the visual spectrum. So who knows? But yeah, these hallucinations can happen concurrently. So an extra distressing episode, a person can feel as if someone's trying to sit on their chest, or maybe they actually are, suffocating them while there's another intruder in the room, which also means them harm. Oddly enough, the presence people see either on top of them or in the room varies culture to culture, leading many to believe these presence isn't just a hallucination. What more can happen what's more, sleep paralysis can happen to anybody. And it is interesting because like it is a very scary experience. And yeah, this is an ancient, look at that horse though. What is he doing?
I mean, he's enjoying it though. That horse is loving whatever's happening. He's smiling away. Yeah, he's having a great time.
Yeah, it's a very frightening thing to go through sleep paralysis. It's crazy, and the fact that I experienced it, that experience changed my life forever, because it was proven that reality isn't as real as we think it is. In my head, going through that and having to experience that, I was like, that was real. I felt it. I know it was real. I saw what I saw. It's hard to explain to somebody that has never had an experience like that, but it is one of the most frightening things. I felt like they were trying to rip my soul out of my body. It was scary.
I believe you. And I think that it's very possible that these sleep paralysis, things that are actually happening. And my sleep paralysis thing, my sleep paralysis thing changed my life too, because I was that little church going youth group Christian girl. And after this happened, I stopped because of what was said to me. And
what was said to you? Did you say?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't say, but I've told the story before, and everyone always laughs at me because it's such a stupid thing. It makes sense, but it's stupid. But I don't know why my brain would think to say this. I don't know. Okay. So I was like really Christian. I was really like, God and Jesus and everything. And, but I remember at a certain point, I was scared all the time. Like this is going to sound crazy. Okay.
It's okay. The show's kind of crazy to begin with.
Okay. I all of a sudden right now I'm like agnostic. I'm like, yeah, maybe there's God. Maybe I grew up Roman Catholic, whatever. It's a little backstory. But, so I, started getting scared randomly out of nowhere. And I remember going and talking to like the pastor. Yeah. At the church and saying like, I don't know what it is, but I'm like scared. I'm like, sometimes I don't even want to put my legs off the couch because I'm like, something's going to get me. Like I felt really weird.
Yeah.
And then he, of course, was like, oh, it's like spiritual warfare and like God's trying to keep you. And then you're trying to, and they're all like, you're a prophet, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck. Okay. And because
of course they did.
Yeah, of course. And then they're like, oh, the demons are trying to get you, like whatever. And I was like, okay, this is a lot. But when you believe something like that at the time, you're like, oh geez, okay, that's scary. So then And then this is going to sound cliche as fuck, but I'm going to say it anyway. I was waking up repeatedly at the same time every day, which was like obviously 3:23 or 3 something in the morning. And it was like every fucking day, of course.
Yeah.
Cliche, of course. And
but that's
I was
the
like,
witching hour and stuff too. So.
Yeah, I guess. And I didn't really know. I was like 15 at the time. I didn't really know. There was like barely any internet back then, guys. Like I'm old. So
I was using the Ouija board when I was 12.
So was I. We would make our own and use them.
Yeah, me too. Crazy.
But okay, so then one night I woke up and I'm like, 3:00 or whatever again. And I was awake. I remember being 100% awake. Like I know I wake up very easily. I'm a very light sleeper. So I woke up. I'm like,
Yeah, me too.
But then I felt, do you remember those old Skittles commercials where the girls like taste the rainbow? I don't know if you heard me, the taste the rainbow. And it was like that whisper. Okay. So I couldn't move and I was like, what the hell? And then right in my ear, I hear this woman's voice.
Oh, sorry, I'm in Germany right now. Give me a
second. I'm in Germany. Come back.
I was wondering. Sorry, I was wondering what the fuck was going on in my background. It was like I'm looking at my logo.
It was grainy.
That was because I had green screen on.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a green screen now, so I've been using it for fun episodes. And at one point, I was in Germany for an episode. Okay, get back to the story. Sorry, I was like fucking perplexed of why that was happening.
What's going on? I noticed it looked a little hazy. I thought we were in like dreamland. You're astro projecting to me right now, maybe. I don't know. And then I heard this woman, and I remember because when she said this thing, it was like she was saying it like 3 times in a row, like echoing, like ta 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 pa pa. Like Jason, like that. Yeah. It was like that, and she said,
"Drink your Ovaltine."
Yeah, but it was like this weird delayed 3 times. Everything was in 3s, and she said, "Demons are the spirits of success."
Oh, that's scary.
And I was like, not like, hey, demon's gonna get you, or like, hey, Satan, the devil's here. Demons are the spirits of success. Whatever. And then I felt 3 like electric vibrations from my feet all the way to my head, and like this like this. Yeah, it was like these weird waves coming over my body. And then I finally was like free to get up. I could move. And I went to my parents' room and I was telling them, I heard a voice. I was gagging because I was so scared. I was like going to puke, but I was like dry heaving. And they're like, go to bed. And I'm like, ah. So then I stopped going to youth group because I was like, they won.
Yeah,
the demon succeeded, man.
Yeah, and it is crazy because it's almost like they're trying to lure you in. And according to Brett, he's Christian. I don't fucking know, right? Like I'm on the fence. Like if I was like, it's so funny because I always joke that I read the Satanic Bible and I was like, this is kind of cool, different, whatever. I was always against the grain with things. And at one point in the show, I was like, if I was going to subscribe to anything, it would be Satanism, just because I like the idea of like being a god in your own right. Now it's just total opposite. I think Anton Levy, whatever how you pronounce his name, is actually part of all that stuff, and they used him to push Satanism to Hollywood and all that stuff. So I'm very much against that now. And now I'm like leaning more towards, if I was going to be any religion, it would be Christianity, because I find that it's the most wholesome, and they have the best, I would say, values and traditions when it comes to things. I think there's bad things about all religion. And in my opinion, not everyone has to share this opinion. Obviously, you don't have to believe everything I say. You don't have to agree with everything I say on the show. That's the whole fun of people having different opinions and stuff like that. I think that the reptilian entities, some sort of dark demonic force that's existed for a long time, used religion to divide and conquer the population, and uses it against. So we're essentially being always warring with each other.
Makes sense to me. 100%. Like, why not? Why not? If everything in every other religion can be true, why can't that be true?
Yeah, and the thing is, right, like, look at the stuff that's taught in some religions. Even the Quran, there's bad things, I think, in the Bible, especially within the Torah and the Talmud is a pretty disturbing book if you actually read it. And it gives people, in my idea, they think like, I'm special because of my magic book. And then I'm like, it's like, oh, let's just slaughter millions of children because of my special book, so that's the perceived supremacy that some of these religions have, especially want people to know who I'm talking about when it comes to one religion. And so it's interesting that. And then Brett was like, well, when I was being attacked, is because, like, it's because they were after my Christian soul because my soul is elevated higher and stuff like that. So it's interesting how they kind of came after you like that.
I mean, I don't
it's very weird.
I don't want to say what's real or what's not. I don't even know. Like, I can't say like this is the definitive truth because I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But if that did happen and it did happen for those reasons, or it was just sleep paralysis, either way, kind of freaky, kind of weird, kind of odd. And I've never had sleep paralysis again. It was the one time, and it's just the situation was weird. Like, it was just.
It is so weird that demons are the success. It's very weird.
Really weird.
Because that's what they do, right? We're doing a big live stream this Saturday about satanic Hollywood and stuff like that. Me and Aaron have been talking about this literally for months and months, right? Yeah. And we're finally gonna do it. And so it is so it's so interesting because like I truly believe that some of those people do sell their souls or make pacts with the devil or some sort of demonic force. And then I've always had this idea that they get everything in this life. So they get all the riches and the fame and the fortune, but then in the next life, I think their like soul is like ripped apart in 1,000 pieces. Like they might be able to get it back one day, but I think that in that some sort of that weird astral world, the afterlife, whatever, if it might be purgatory, I think that their soul is kind of taken over for I would hope not eternity because that'd be wild that you would sell it for that. But at least for a time period of you have to go through torments or like maybe you get sent back and you're a little Ethiopian boy that is turned into a child soldier or something like that where you have to experience something horrible because you sold your soul for something for greed and materialism and pride and whatever, right? Gluttony and all the other deadly sins,
Oh, that's not worth it. Like, not worth it. But you did just make me think like that was the other meaning of what that demon bitch said to me. And it was that they're successful. Like, you sell your soul and will make you, they lure you in and that's how they get you. Hollywood.
When I go on to no one will hear you scream in your dreams.
Okay, it's my turn. It's my turn. Yep. Okay. Yeah. No one will hear you scream or ask for help during your nightmares. You know what? Be like me and help yourself in your nightmares. You can wake yourself up. I don't know how, but I can try to teach you.
That's what I just want to say. That's what would be cool about the idea of lucid dreamings. Because say you're like being hunted by a demon and then you're like, no, I have a shield of armor. And then you're like, ring. And then you're like, just got like a suit of armor on. You just like destroy all the demons. Because I've heard that people can lucid dream like that. They can control the dreams. And I've tried to do it. If anyone listens to the show or watches it and you've had the ability to either astral project or lucid dream, let me know. Shoot me a comment. Send me an email. All the links are in the bio. strangerpodcast@gmail.com. It would be interesting to have you on for a Patreon episode because I'd like to hear people's. At some point, might do that, like bring people on to tell strange stories for the Patreon, or if they subscribe and support, because it's who knows, maybe someone out there has done it, Yeah,
and we need that tutorial. We need it. We need, definitely. All right. Due to atonia, right? That's what we're saying. Yeah, due to atonia while sleeping, we are generally unable to move around while asleep. The only muscles that remain active while dreaming are our eye and breathing muscles. Ah, man. Due to this, when we have nightmares, we're unable to flail around or scream like we often see in the movies and on TV. So if you're experiencing an especially awful dream and are hoping someone may help wake you up, it likely won't happen. I don't know. The nightmare will need to run its course until you wake yourself. When we do awaken, we might also be able to recall a nightmare more than other dreams because we are pulling ourselves directly out of our REM sleep.
Weird.
Wait. Okay, some doctor named Anissa Das, MD, says once you are sitting up and screaming, you are already aroused and coming out of dream sleep. You wake up right out of the nightmare. So your recall is better compared to non-scary dreams, which don't wake you up. Thanks, doctor. Unfortunately, there's no way to help someone stuck in a nightmare because we don't know they're in it. Okay, you know what? You know how many times lately I've woken up I wake up in the middle of the night so often with my arm straight up in the air.
You're saluting like Elon?
Yeah, I'm like, my heart.
That's so crazy.
And I'll be rubbing my arm like this, like self-soothing. And it happens sometimes like 7 times a night.
Weird.
And I'm like, you know what? You're doing the opposite. If you want to stay asleep, stop touching yourself. Like
tattoos on your arm.
Oh, the Illuminati diamond.
Oh, it is?
I didn't know what it was when I got it done. I didn't know. It was one of my first tattoos. It was my third, second. And my friend had this picture on her computer and she's like, look, earth, air, fire, and water both ways. She's like, isn't that pretty cool? The elements. I'm like, yeah. So we each got it matching.
It's Illuminati.
And one day someone's like, oh, the Illuminati diamond. I'm like, what's that? What's the Illuminati? I didn't even know. Like I've had this for like 20 years. And I had no.
I heard theories that you take like your tattoos with you in the afterlife. I don't know if that's true, or like I know. I'm like, hey, mine's bad. I have a dog licking up a blood cross on my arm. So like,
okay,
yeah. Here, I'll show you. I got it filled in. It was originally just the dog, and I was like, I have to get this fixed. But you kind of see the dog there.
Oh,
He's licking the blood. So it was just the dog licking the blood. And then I asked my tattoo artist, she's awesome. She's like a nationalist. It was cool. We got along really well. So I was like, free for all, just figure out how to like kind of blend it in, paranormal kind of stuff. And thank God, because like even the wife was like, yeah, like just a blood cross on your arm. Just everyone can see this like upside down satanic blood cross on my arm, and I was like, "Yeah, it was off an it's off an album cover." So
yeah, you told me last time. I remember.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is a rap guy? I think so.
Yeah, it's Kill the Architect Cage. He's an interesting dude. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's a full blown Satanist, so makes sense why he would do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy what happens. I'm a big fan of his. This is also like one of his hip hop groups, Weatherman. I think I told you that. Yeah, I argued with him online one time and called me like an alt-right something, and I was like, it's like, man, I was like, you know, you never meet your heroes or the people, not even your heroes, just like the people that you like as artists and anything like that. It never works out well, like ever.
Yeah.
Usually they're kind of assholes, and most of them are very egotistical in a lot of ways.
You know why? Because the spirits of success got them.
It's true.
Yeah.
So true. So crazy. I had another thought about trees, but we'll probably get to it at some point. Oh, I was gonna say, do you know anyone that did sleepwalking? Have you ever had that? Because like you're not supposed to wake them up during sleepwalking. Have any of your kids? Do you know anybody?
Yeah, my son's done it a couple times, and where he like tried to leave the house. My daughter, we had to get chains on all the doors. My daughter, has almost like night terror thing.
Chain her to the bed.
No, you know what? She'll wake up and she's in between. And she was sick recently. Whenever she's sick, she has like these fever dreams where she's awake looking at you, and she's like, I can see all this stuff here, all this stuff here. I'm like, well, what am I wearing? She's like, you're wearing a hoodie. It's black. I can see what it is, but I also see this and this and this. And she's like, but everything's really far away and really big. And I'm like, you're in between worlds right now, man. Like she's in between worlds.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's so nuts. It's so like, I just makes me think of Step Brothers, where they both sleepwalk and there's like pillows and they're like milk, or I can't remember what they're doing, but he's like putting pillows in the oven and they're like getting like orange juice and stuff and knocking into each other. It would be so funny to wake up and see that shit though. Like, especially your kids doing it, because kids say the darndest thing and some very creepy things. You know what I mean? So, and where they tapping into and stuff like that. So, this is a strange one. So more than 100 previous healthy people from various Southeast Asia communities died mysteriously in their sleep. And me and Billy talked about this as a throwback way back in the day to an episode about sleepwalker killers or something like that. Sleepwalking killers. And then there's specifically one guy. I think there was a couple people, but especially one guy that got and we learned about this in law class. And he drove to somebody's house. I can't remember who it was, his like mother-in-law, something like that, killed her. And he essentially got let free because they proved that he was sleepwalking, which is crazy.
Yes, I've heard that exact same thing. Getting in his car and driving and going, killing and driving back home and everything. Yeah, right?
And he's like wakes up with blood on. It's like the werewolf thing of American Werewolf in London, where he wakes up in the forest and he's like naked and covered in blood and shit. And it's like, what did I do? What happened? Was I a fun rave or something?
Oh my God, too much Ambien. Is that what people take? Ambien, and they like cook like full chickens in the middle of the night?
So
they don't even know
weird.
they're doing it. I don't get it.
It's so crazy the amount of drugs that they do push on people, especially pharmaceutical drugs that are so dangerous. It's an epidemic, but they don't want to admit it. In the 1970s and 80s, many refugees from Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, that was a fun place to be around in the 60s, began arriving in the USA. Once there, many experienced sleep paralysis, which they believed had supernatural causes. In fact, they might have been right. Suddenly, more than 100 healthy Hmong refugees died in their sleep. Doctors called this phenomenon sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, SUNS. Scientists couldn't fully explain why the deaths occurred and why they suddenly stopped. The Hmong people, however, believe that the Dabsung, a night spirit was responsible for the deaths. Eventually, researchers concluded that a belief in night spirits combined with sleep paralysis and a possible heart condition is what killed all these individuals. Some studies have linked sleep paralysis to a genetic heart arrhythmia. Mateo, whatever, some fucking cardiologist at the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston said, the deaths occur at night because the heart beats more weakly when sleeping. Despite the possibility of having heart conditions, it seems like the Hmong people who died of SUNS, their beliefs in the supernatural played some big role into their deaths. That's so crazy. Like,
I don't know.
It sounds weird, or something was attacking them. Like, to me, because of the trauma of Vietnam and stuff like that, the Vietnam War, where they were being slaughtered like crazy. I used to fall asleep to the Ken Burns Vietnam documentary. It's like 14 hours long. Bill used to make fun of me because I'm like, it's when I was on night shift and my wife would be sleeping next to me. And I'd just be listening. It's like just people getting slaughtered and yeah, fun times. I wanted to learn about it. And it's like, it was so interesting to me because it was such I think all wars are unjust and used for certain purposes. Population control could be one of them, but also definitely monetary gain, all sorts of things. But that trauma could have affected people. Like even after World War II, they claim that not one Russian person was not touched by the war. So this idea that they were like everyone had a family member, someone they knew that died because they were just slaughtering millions and millions of Russians. Thank you, communists. For some reason, we rushed to the aid of Stalin. For some reason, because I'm not going to get into that because it's going to get me into the Germany talk, but like we rushed to the aid of the communists that were literally mass starving millions upon millions upon millions of people, sending them to gulags, killing them, and then sending all of their soldiers into war. And the highest casualties of millions and millions of people during World War II were Russians. So almost seems like it was maybe done on purpose. It sure seems like it, but yeah, be careful of those night demons. That was a bad Japan, but you gotta think about it.
I thought you were being Russian.
No, I can't be Russian. I was just, I can't. Can you do a Russian accent? I can't. A vodka.
No.
Give me some vodka.
I gotta think about my video games when I'm like thinking about Zarya in Overwatch, and what does she say? I don't know what she's saying, but we always not mock her. We always think she's saying a bun with some toast instead, but I don't know what she's saying.
That's pretty good. That's pretty. We always try to do accents on this show. It's horrible all the time, but I can do like a pretty good Japanese one where it's the night terrors that take me to the hell, it's like, it's just, he's got to yell
so aggressive.
Well, that's like the Chinese are more like, oh, I'm from China, and like, but the Japanese are like, I am ancient samurai, I cut you in half, it's like very like
guttural. You gotta have that gutter. Yeah.
Like you disrespect my family.
Just watching too much anime, that's all.
I hate anime. This guy, just this funny story. This guy that I used to work with, I went on night shift for a little bit at the last job, and one of my good friends was a supervisor on that shit, and he was like, "Yeah, this guy like loves anime porn," and I'm like, "Why do you tell people that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do. I really like it." And I'm like, man, why do you admit things like that? It's very weird. So then my buddy, he's a very funny guy. The supervisor was like, kept asking like what kinds, like what's your favorite, And I'm like, it's strange how you would reveal that information to people, but some people just don't care.
No, and for some reason, there's something about anime stuff where it's like more, I don't know,
Taboo,
accepted.
weird?
No, like it's almost like, oh, well, it's like, oh, whatever. It's anime. It's anime. It's like part of the culture if you watch it all. It's all
there's
in there.
like in
It's
Japan, they're like reading manga, which is pretty much like porn, just on like subways and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's more accepted almost. Like
they can't show the PP or the VV, but they'll put like tentacles. So that's why there's it's so weird because they can show it that way if it's like a fake thing, but their censorship laws are so absurd and weird. Even though I'm not really a fan of what that kind of culture in Pornhub stuff, that all the stuff is done to society. It's not fair in young men and women. It's not good. It's very sad.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was just think about this music every time you're thinking about watching it, everybody. Just think about it. So afterwards, this is what your brain goes through. You're just like, oh, so sad. It's just so sad. I'm gonna be doing that all night.
Unless it's tentacles, then it's happy.
It's happy. Oi, oi, oi is what she says. I was gonna from this. Okay, what's the next one?
God. The next one is some theorize we forget most of our dreams to keep a firm grasp on reality.
A grasp? A firm grasp on reality.
Did I say grasp?
Yeah, it's fine. How many things I mispronounce on the show? Jesus.
A grasp is like something like really small, and a grasp is like a big.
That's what. Yeah, the Asian people have a grasp because of Johnny hands. So dumb.
Right. I didn't even mean that to be dirty. I was just like, grasp sounds small. Anyway,
yes.
I did not mean it. I swear. I didn't let the demons get me. Okay, so if you've ever regretted forgetting your dreams, you shouldn't. Forgetting dreams might be what keep us firmly grounded in reality. I don't want to be grounded in reality.
No,
if we keenly, if we keenly remembered every detail of every dream, we might lose our grasp on what is actually real. Certain chemicals in our brains keep us from fully remembering our dreams. One of these is noradrenaline. This chemical readies our bodies for action, and because of atonia, our noradrenaline levels are lower while we sleep. Oh man, mine's really low then. The more noradrenaline we have while we dream, the more we're able to, more we're able to remember our dreams. Oh, so I have a lot of that. Okay. Ultimately, this is a very good thing, according to Francesca Sticlari, a sleep research doctor at some university. Yeah. It's probably a good thing that the dream life and the waking life are completely different. I think if you remembered every detail like you can do in waking life, you would start to confuse things with what's actually happening in your real life. Thanks, doctor.
Yeah, no shit. It's like you start seeing shadow demons and shit like that, or like, okay, no, I don't need to talk about that. It's gonna match something else. I've had weird dreams about like celebrity stuff of like, man, I had one dream where Shania Twain raped me. It was and I don't even find her like attractive. And I was like, not a fun time, not a fun time. And then I read about how reptilians, God knows if this is true or not. Nothing is true in this reality. Reality is weirder than we think. But how reptilians, specifically more with women, supposedly everything's supposedly on the show. They project images in your head while they're sexually assaulting you. So they take advantage of you in these states and alter consciousness. And there's stories about women even getting pregnant through dreams because of stuff like this. And then the reptilians take their baby away because they're just planting a seed in them. All sorts of crazy stories out there. God knows if they're true. And they supposedly project these images into your head of celebrities or things you would know of or people you would know of while they're actually exhuming your sexual energy through this dream state.
So did Shania like sing out, "Man, I feel like a reptilian" after she was done with you?
Yeah. It was something I'll never forget. It's
Man, I feel
I feel like a
reptilian.
I
I feel like a lizard.
Yeah, that's even scarier. They're like, look, a forked tongue comes out. Fuck. So people don't usually want to have nightmares. Well, no shit, but they may serve a very practical purpose in our lives. One theory researchers have been studying suggests that having nightmares may be better preparing people for distressing situations in the real world. Situations. The limbic system, which regulates emotion, is still active while we sleep. Yeah, no shit. That's why I wake up depressed all the time. And I'm like, shit, I'm still stuck in this reality. It's why we're sometimes so emotionally affected by having intense dreams. Researchers have found experiencing fear and discomfort in our dreams may reduce our emotional arousal in response to fear in the real world. Because we react emotionally the same way to fear in dreams as we do to fear in reality, our bodies won't distinguish the difference. This means that if we encounter something scary or distressing situation in reality, we may be better prepared to confront the situation emotionally if our brains have already been dealing with the fear of our dreams. Of whatever. This author of this study, Lamprose, sure, that's a fun name. Dreams may be considered a very real training for our future reactions and may potentially prepare us to face real life dangers.
I mean, I'm still scared as hell about everything in life, so my
I
dreams
wonder,
have prepared me for nothing.
It would be interesting to see, like, obviously, like, a caveman's dreams would be like about like something hunting them, like the more primitive people from thousands of years ago, even hundreds of years ago. You would have different dreams. It would be so weird. Like, would you be dreaming about aliens or UFOs, or is it mostly just like you're dreaming about like a tiger dragging your baby away because that's what you thought was going to happen? Or if you're in India, a monkey just steals your baby, which happens a lot, supposedly.
Aww.
Yeah. But when
I'm going to have that dream now.
Well,
for no reason.
When you build them temples, you're kind of giving them credence to be like, all right, we worship you. And they're probably like, bye, baby. Hope you have fun in the monkey town. Well, goodbye, baby. That's so I have a very dark sense of humor.
Oh my God. No, I want to see if your humor not your humor, but I want to see what changes after you have a kid. Things change so weird. Like, I
think it'll get worse?
No, I think that there's things that maybe you will get more sensitive about because you're like, damn, I'm telling you, there's like certain things in movies where I'm like, if I see a kid get hurt whatsoever in this movie, I can't watch it. But like before, I'm like, oh, there's this movie called The Children, and I'm like, I love this movie. I could never watch it now.
See,
never.
I don't know. People would beg to differ, I'm sure, but I do think I'm pretty empathetic. But obviously, like I think that I don't know. I'm empathetic, but there's things that bother me in this reality, especially about certain people and stuff like that. There's been a lot of problems in our world lately, and of mixing of cultures and all that stuff, that you can see the division and the push against certain things. And I've always had this dark sense of humor. I wonder if having kids will change it, or it may. But I don't know. I have a feeling that I'll still probably be like this. Obviously, like when it comes, because I've always held empathy for like what's happening on the other side of the world, and the kids being put into like as child soldiers, as I kind of referenced earlier, or whatever, or what's happening in Gaza and stuff like that. I've always like thought if anyone hurts a child, I think that you should get a bullet directly in the fucking head. Like, realistically, if you're a demon, you shouldn't exist here. You're something demonic if you ever will touch a kid, put your hands on a kid, hurt a kid in a negative way. You're disgusting parasite to me. So
amen.
I did I finally where is it come on, I know I have it. Oh, here we go. I got the cheer button because you were mentioning it, so I finally got it. All right.
Good.
Okay, let's get back to it.
Okay. Studies show dreams are mostly weird because the more logical parts of our brains are inactive. Dreams often don't make much sense, and for good reason. During sleep, various parts of our brain stop communicating with each other. One of the main sections that becomes inactive is the frontal lobe, the area that handles our critical faculties, such as consciousness and logical decision making. You know why? It's because we're so logical during the day that we don't have that ability at all during the evening.
I know. People are losing their mind over fucking. I don't like Elon Musk, but that shit's so funny. Everyone's losing their ever-loving mind. It's like, is this all you people are? Is to like freak out over political issues that don't affect you? And it's so crazy, man. Someone's like, they do affect me, man. I can't cut off my dick now. Sorry. So I just find the world such a crazy place, and all these people are
psychic vampires stealing the energy from the kid.
Yeah, and this is why when we sleep, our dreams are so messed up, but also we'd probably rather be in dreamland because it's better than the real world, even if we are hearing demons and stuff.
Yeah, I
know. Shall I go on?
Yes.
The loss of activity in the frontal lobe can be what causes people to make awful decisions in their dreams. In the real world, loss of activity in or damage to the frontal lobe can cause violence, depression, and even dementia. So perhaps it's for the best that this inactivity only occurs while we're asleep. Some researchers pose that weird dreams are good for mental health. Strange dreams may help people learn from the experience they've had. Nicholas DePeroy, lead of a study of dreams at the University of Bern, said, I should do that accent. It shouldn't be surprising that dreams are bizarre. The bizarreness serves a purpose. The next time you're having crazy dreams, don't try to find a deeper meaning, and your brain may simply be organizing your experiences. Yeah,
yes. Okay. Oh, I thought I was gonna have too bad. I thought I had one, but boo me.
That's scary stuff.
It is great because the frontal lobe plays an important part of your brain. There's certain I've heard there's certain people that are not even born with it, which is a crazy thing, or born with less of a frontal lobe, and they are more inept. Is they commit more crime and stuff like that too. Which is crazy. But then you have the damage of the frontal lobe, which you see with football players. Then they end up becoming violent, abusing their spouses, dragging them through like elevators and beating them. There's a guy, Roy Rice or Roy, fucking Viceroy, whatever his name is. That was a Star Wars character. But like, it's like that happens, man. And that's why you see like even I like watching UFC, but man, the damage that those dudes are probably doing to their brain, I couldn't imagine, man. I couldn't imagine. For some people, nightmares aren't just a rare occurrence. Some people suffer parasomnia, called nightmare disorder, sometimes dream anxiety disorder, in which a person frequently experiences nightmares. Researchers estimate around 4% of adults suffer from this disorder, which causes instances of extended, distressing, and remembered dreams. People with this disorder can suffer greatly in their waking lives, as they may consistently recall their disturbing dreams and feel uneasy, even when they're not sleeping. They may also develop a fear of sleeping and experience increased anxiety, and even begin losing their grip on reality. Some of the worst sufferers experience multiple nightmares every night. Some believe nightmare disorder can be traced back to traumatic experiences, makes sense, drug use, that makes sense, or withdrawals, actually being extra sensitive to negative experiences in waking life. The most common treatment of this nightmare disorder is stop being a little bitch. I'm just kidding. A type of exposure therapy called imagery rehearsal therapy. Weird, which helps people. So yeah, I just need you to be like, you said that right, which helps people understand the usefulness of nightmares, as well as ways to practice relaxation techniques. There is no cure. there's no direct cure for this condition. It's so funny because because I'm putting out episodes for another show or whatever, and I'm like trying to listen back to certain episodes. Hey, do I need to put this on Patreon because it's a little bit too much? And it is funny because like when me and Billy were heavily drinking, like I'm reading stuff even though I'm like pretty hammered, but like I've noticed that like I will like it will you'll still know what I'm talking about, but there's like words I'll miss and stuff like that, and I'm like, what a different time. I'm like, and I always was surprised that people were listening at that time because you're like full blown drunk. And I remember fans be like, yeah, that's why I liked it, because I was like, whoa, this guy's actually drunk. They're both drunk talking about the most absurd shit. You know what I mean? So that's why you support the Patreon, everybody. There'll be a bunch more episodes. I've literally taken off. That's why people are like, whoa, you don't have a lot of like we have, we're almost getting to that 300 point. But there's been 100 episodes that have been X'd from the show since the very beginning. Especially there were some where I don't even know why I put them out. We were just blackout drunk pretty much. And I was like, this sounds fine. And then it's just like, put it out and it's such a bad idea. But a lot of that stuff got transferred to the Patreon, and there's probably at least 10 episodes that I'm like, they don't deserve life in this world at all. That's how we used to drink a 26er, and we were just joking about this, how we used to be like, all right, let's drink half the 26er first, then we'll press record. Such a dumb idea.
I mean, it's like your shtick though. I mean, people want to see that. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know, not good for you, but maybe some people like that. I don't know.
I know we did. I know we did the second protocols episode, and then I got heated because some guy was like shitting on Canada. We had hundreds of we had over 100 and something people watching, and this guy like chirped about Canada, and everyone was like cool in the chat and stuff like that. And then that guy just, even though I realized I just could have blocked him through the thing, I just didn't think about it, but I just went off about like how people don't understand how Canadian people have suffered in the last couple of years, especially during like the pandemic and all that stuff, and what the government did to us and what they continue to do to us, while people are paying an absurd amount of taxes, 80,000+ homeless people in Ontario alone. It's crazy, right? So it set me off, and I was drunk, so I was just like, this is going off. And then this is what happens when you're drunk. And then I was like, at the end, the thing, I just kept popping up a slur at him. So I was like, this is what happens when you get drunk. And I'm like, I don't need to do that anymore. And I never drink like that anymore on the show. And like if Billy's here, whatever, it'll be fun. We'll like do it and stuff like that. But you know, as much as I enjoy drinking and stuff like that, especially with certain topics, it's almost like not necessary. Like fun topics, it's all fun. We're talking about really down, disturbing stuff that like is like conspiracy theories or something that could be very real, that is affecting everybody's lives. That's when it gets like where you're like, man, do we actually live in a world like that? That's really disturbing and scary.
Yeah, and that's how you get like more heated about everything. Depends what you're drinking too. Like
that's scary stuff.
If you're drinking like whiskey or something, that's the fighting. That's going to get in your blood, and you just want to rage. So yeah,
it's true. I might have Irish in my blood. God knows it's actually in my blood. But that's you want to get to certain sleep positions may induce more nightmares. That's actually kind of a good to know. That might be a good tip.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone has a preference for a sleep position or a side of the bed, and this may make all the difference when it comes to nightmares. Several studies on the link between sleep positions and nightmares concluded that there was correlation between the two. These studies determined that people who slept on their left side became much more prone to experiencing nightmares than those who slept on their right. Back sleepers are believed to also experience more nightmares than right side sleepers.
That's how I sleep.
Well, every time I have a nightmare and I wake up, I'm on my back. So that makes sense. Stomach sleepers tend to have more intense dreams. That's what I mostly do, but not necessarily nightmares. Various factors, however, also contribute to our dreams, including the temperature of the room, our pajamas, and even music. We have the ability to hear in our sleep. So sometimes voices or music make their way into our brain while we're dreaming. Researchers are still unsure why our sleep positions affect our dreams.
Weird. I'm gonna play like that. If that's true, I'm gonna play Veggie Tales. You know what that is, right? I hope you know what that is.
Yes.
Canadian.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
I'll just play that. Broccoli, celery, wannabe, Veggie Tales. That'll make me feel positive. I used to play. It's so funny, actually. That of course that makes you think of it. But when I was going through like nightmares when I was younger, I've always slept with a fan on or an air conditioner or something like that. I can't sleep in dead silence. My brain will like eat itself even more. So I've always had sound, and it happened since I was a kid. And I remember I had this VeggieTales CD that I would put in, and I would just listen to like the VeggieTales, like where it's like them telling stories and stuff like that, and it would help me sleep. So,
well, yeah, and isn't it like Christian stories and everything? Aren't they like Jesus? Yeah, I mean that's kind of nice. I used to fall asleep listening to the 28 Days Later soundtrack.
Really? I just rewatched the original. I think it's so good.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's one of the best soundtracks ever too.
Yeah, I was like, this kind of slaps. Where there's like that one rock song, I was like, I really like this.
Yeah,
I was searching up for like the hip hop beat to kind of if I could steal somebody's beat if it's like a promotional free and maybe like write a song to it. I was like, that'd be interesting because I told Aaron that at some point, like I think it would be cool to do like a whole, like I don't know if whenever I'll have time to do this, might be in a couple of years, something like that. Because I'm working on an album. I just have to record one more song and I'm gonna release it. And then I have like a 5-6 song EP I want to do with. I have the beats for it. It's more like it's essentially like, you know who Oliver Tree is? It's kind of you would look up Oliver Tree sometime. He's I think you would like his music, but he's an interesting guy. It's fun though. I'll have to send you a link, but he does these more like poppy kind of beats, and I really like them. They're fun to write to. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna produce like an album where it's like very like poppy, like catchy kind of beats, but then I'm talking about like fuck the government, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Love it.
Drop people in. I've already done one song to it, and it's about like people being brainwashed and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I do really like it. But like I've always wanted to do like a horror album. It would be cool because Aaron's like, not much of that stuff is out there. Where it's like if I did even a 10 song, where like it's like I write in the perspective of Friday the 13th, and then the next song is like Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever in certain movies, I think would be really fun, especially because Aaron's intro, I wrote that, and it's like it's a fun song. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's fun. I'll have to send it to you. I want to write the full version of it, but essentially I did like a hip hop song. Do you want to hear it? I can play it right now.
Play it.
All right, so this is Aaron's intro for everybody watching and listening. If you want to go check out Class Horrorcast, make sure to do so, and then we'll finish off with the last one and then our final thoughts.
Welcome to Class Horrorcast. We'll make sure you're not bored to death, but all your friends have disappeared, and you're the last one left. If you want to live, I suggest not doing drugs and having sex. Run through the forest grasping for breath as you're chased by a maniac wearing a mask of flesh, tripping over dead friends. This isn't over until you get revenge. Final girls try to survive in a violent world. It's eye for an eye. Hide behind doors, lying underneath beds, trying to bide your time and find your strength, and figure out how much time it takes to escape before it's too late, or come face to face with a grim fate. Welcome to Class Horrorcast. Let's see how long you last as you torture to death. So come join your host Aaron and Tomcat as we bring you a podcast that will leave you laughing in a body bag or a bloodbath. Welcome to Class Horrorcast. Let's see how long you last.
I hated that face at the end. That was so scary.
That's all AI. I used AI like to make all that shit. But see, like I'm able to. I know, and Aaron's like, it was hard to like my voice hurt after like doing that Class Horror. Like I have to invoke it out of me. I used to be a screamer in a metal band when I was very young. Like I was like 13 or whatever, 14. But I'm able to like invoke that type of voice. But like I always thought that would just kind of be interesting to do. At some point, I might do it. Even if I'm older, I'll still release it. I don't care. You know what I mean? Music's always my first love, so that's why I chose to do what I've done and put it out there. But it could be interesting. Not a lot of people do it. They have that one guy. There's a guy named Dan Bull. I think that's his name. And he does like rap songs and he's British, and he does rap songs about video games. And he's actually like really good. And all of his beats are dope. Like he does like there's The Last of Us. He does like all sorts of songs. Dead by Daylight is a really good one. So yeah, Dan Bull, he's an interesting character. Does some really good music actually for like rapping about video games. I'll have to send you some music.
Send.
First and foremost, one of the mysterious things about dreams is that researchers don't really know why they happen. On a basic level, dreams are defined as stories and images that our mind creates while we sleep. Different people have many different theories regarding dreams, and these theories are often influenced by people's scientific, religious, or spiritual beliefs. Some researchers say that dreams serve no purpose, while others say I think they definitely do. They help us to process and learn from our experiences. Ancient cultures often interpret dreams as messages from the gods or other realms or even the dead. What we do know, thanks to certain dream-related studies, is that people are not allowed to dream awaken before the REM cycle. They experience more tension, anxiety, and even weight gain. Safe to say, dreaming is very important to our health, even if we don't know why we do it. It is such a strange thing. That's why I'm like, is that? I don't know. Is that why, like, I don't know. Is it something to do with our soul and like connecting into another realm of reality? I don't know. It's very strange.
I want to think it's something like that. I would love to. I want to believe. I'm going to say sure. I believe that. Like, I want to believe my soul's doing some crazy shit while I sleep. I do. I want to believe that I can, if I train myself, I can astral project, because I feel like with the intensity of my dreams and how I'm so aware and how I have so much feeling, maybe I can do it. We're waiting for those tutorials, but I also feel like I wonder if there's a correlation between like anxiety or like OCD type tendencies or depression and the intensity of dreams, because I'm anxious as fuck and I'm constantly nervous and constantly spiraling and overthinking. And so when I go to sleep, I know it's a lot of the things that I'm thinking during the day or thinking last week. And it's basically attacking me while I sleep. And it's like, here, remember everything that you're afraid of? Remember everything that can go wrong? And it's like throwing it at me. I don't know if it's like mentally trying to prepare me for things. It doesn't work. Or I think it's like a scientific chemical thing, but I hope there's also like some spiritual type.
I think it has to be. We're not just physical beings, and like
no, we're not.
It could be a way of us processing our memories, trauma, things throughout our lives. And it is interesting where it's like I've talked to like, I don't know, I feel like I talked to someone else other than Billy, but maybe it's just Billy that doesn't really dream. And we don't really know what it is. It would always be perplexing to me of what this actually is. But like I do think that we do have connections to some other worldly realms through psychedelics, through dreaming. And I do think that there is a possibility that people can astral project. And at some point, we covered it way back in the day, but it's now on Patreon with my buddy Juan that we do a little series at the beginning of the show. And I wouldn't mind going back into the idea of astral projection. I do think maybe the next time I bring you on, even in a week or two or something like that, we'll do like the meanings behind dreams. Like I'll find a good article or something about that. And it'd just be fun, even just do an hour about like especially the most prevalent ones.
Why do I puke sludge? I want to know. Why am I scraping out pukey sludge is what I want to know.
And the thing is too, I'll get a list of stuff going, but we can also on the fly, if we think of one, type it in and stuff like that would be kind of fun because we have access to the internet, right? So that could be a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing that next, almost doing like a part 2 and doing like the meanings behind dreams, because it's such a fascinating thing to me. We all do it. I know everyone has weird dreams, and like if you guys have really weird dreams, definitely send me an email or a message. I'll either talk about it on the show, or maybe I'll do like a little episode on Patreon where I read off some of your guys' dreams. So yeah, make sure to support the show, and definitely I encourage the fans to be active and message me. I have fans that send me goofy kind of racist reels all the time. Yeah, of course, right? Like Instagram is such a wild thing. So some of the things I'm like, why, especially this one dude is like, why are these on Instagram? Why are these a thing? Like, and he sends me like where it's like 10 and I'm like scrolling through them at night. I'm like, haha, oh, what the fuck? Haha, I'm like laughing and it's gross and that's weird. And I'm like, thanks guys. And then I have like literally on my more political where I talk politics and stuff like that, or try to wake people up. People send me really depressing shit. Clay, did you hear what Schwab said about this or that? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking know. It's pretty terrible reality.
Talk about a freaking supervillain. God,
really, it's crazy. So I had a lot of fun on this. I definitely think that you definitely blend in well with us. Like I said, I've talked to you before that I'd love to have all 4 of us on. Still got to figure out how to get Billy and Aaron together. But I would really like to have a fun live stream of all of us. Definitely, we're gonna. Aaron wants to do an episode, and we're gonna do something fun for Class Horrorcast. We even thought of just a free for all kind of rant episode about fun horror movies that we like, or sticking to a topic and favorite horror movie monsters, something like that. But I have a bunch of ideas and things that we could definitely do. So make sure to shout your stuff. And before you do that, I'll just say, yeah, everybody that is a fan of the show, make sure to give 5-star rating reviews. You don't know how much that does help. Share the show with your friends. Tell your grandma, tell your aunt, tell your uncle. Maybe not the one that's molesting you, but like at least tell the people. Sorry, tell the people around you. And make sure to support the show in every way that you can. Buy merch, support the Patreon. We're everywhere. We're on X, Strange Brewcast. Definitely support Rumble, is a great platform. YouTube, all of that good stuff. Please make sure to support the show. I'd appreciate it. Now shout out your stuff.
If you want to see more of me ever, I'm on the Not a Strong Start podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I have my own show on the Not a Strong Start YouTube channel and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts called Marie Plays It All. And I also do episodes with them just on the normal Not a Strong Start stuff, but I also have my own show. And again, horror, video games, geek stuff, movies, all that. Follow me on Instagram too. And Marie Plays It All. I'm sorry, what?
I need to get a nerd sound effect. You ever seen Revenge of the Nerds?
No.
What?
I don't.
Yo, you need to watch Revenge of the Nerds. It's kind of rapey. Like there's scenes in it where you're like,
oh, okay.
It's because it's from like the 70s, late
70s rape. Okay.
Yeah, it's like you know how like almost like it's like Animal House, same kind of vibe as those movies. You need to watch it. 1 and 2 are pretty funny. It's a classic film. Like very classic. And there's one bully and he's like, nerds, and they like beat him up. And then the nerds, obviously they get revenge, right? But there's like scenes of them like raiding the panty drawers and all that stuff. Like it's a classic. And I watched it probably when I was too young, but it's there's some really funny points in that movie. And if you haven't seen it, anybody, it's definitely worth a watch. I'll tell Aaron, because we're trying to do off-brand episodes at some point, so maybe we'll get you to watch it and then give your first impressions, and we'll do Revenge.
Do it, because I have a segment on my show where my friend Daniel forces me to watch movies I haven't seen before, and I have to guess what they're about and guess what happens, and then I can come back and actually give my review. So I'm used to doing that. So do that. And can I give you one short little dream before we go?
For sure. Help
you sleep at night.
Sure. I'll play some creepy music.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, I don't like that one. That one's
very circusy.
Yeah, okay. I don't hit this one. Here we go.
Okay, just to help you sleep at night. Like I said, I was traumatized by The Exorcist when I watched it when I was a wee Catholic girl at the age of 13. And I had this statue of Mary that my grandma gave me. It was ivory from Lourdes. It was like this big, and it was on my dresser. It had this mirror, and it was on my dresser as I slept. This is real. And I fell asleep one night, and I woke, and in my dream, I woke up, and I felt like I was awake, and the face of Mary, was Reagan from The Exorcist, laughing at me, and she was laughing, and I just in my dream got up and slowly walked to her, and as I stood at her at this Mary with Reagan's face, and she was laughing, and I slowly put my finger in her mouth, and she gnawed on it, and I just let her do it, and there's blood dripping all down, and Reagan was just it was the Virgin Mary or Mary like Jesus' mom, I don't know, but anyway, whatever statue Mary is. And I just let Reagan as Mary gnaw on my finger.
Suck on your finger.
To the bone. Yeah.
That's so weird. That's a
Holy Testicle Tuesday.
That's such a strange.
Sweet dreams, everybody.
Yeah, that's a good place to end it on. Make sure to support the show, everybody. I love everybody that watches the show. I appreciate you, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what you choose to do with your fingers.
Yeah. Stick them in her mouth. And thank you for having me too. I had a lot of fun.
We'll definitely be doing this again.
Good.
Bye.